Okay. So it is basically 6 o'clock. I'm actually going to turn up the mic there a touch. There we go. And we are going to see if we can actually finish this page finally, because it has taken way too long. It really shouldn't take that long to finish either, so that's good. Turns out I didn't get very much done since last time. Completely forgot that it was a weekend, a busy weekend. So, didn't get very much done since last stream. Which was like 2 weeks ago, or not 2 weeks ago, but like a full week ago, because I didn't stream on Thursday either. So, let's see, I probably should. A little light in here. There we go, that's better. Okay. Come on. Oh, whatever. That'll do. Okay, so... let's grab a pawn here. Watching and drawing, that's great. That's good here. I used to do that a lot with streams. I don't do that so much. Maybe I should get back into the habit, because it always is nice to draw alongside something and someone. Headphones are dead, so just watch for now. That's fine. Appreciate you being here. I never have anything interesting to say anyway, I think. Let us see what we get here. We're gonna kind of exaggerate things a touch. Oh, whoops. That actually is useful though, so I will do that, but... because that makes it so that I can keep things on the same level. Velvet worms, yes! My best bit. Did it all for the bit. Something like that, I think. Maybe a little bit more exaggerated. Ooh, Luke Hash. Something like that. Well, that's the nice thing with Clip Studio Paint is you can import things, and then with the magic of cheating, convert to lines and tones. I have actually done a little bit of 3D stuff, but mostly like, but yeah, with the power of cheating, you can do this. remember, cheating is okay so long as you are upfront about it and it's like actually legitimate. Don't take that out of context. But usually what people call cheating. 3D gets addicting. 3D is like, yeah, there's a certain flow to 3D that's actually pretty fun, but a lot of what I do as far as like 3D goes isn't so much 3D, but like, do I want that thin of line work? It's awfully, oh boy, starting to break down. That's okay. That'll be fine. But a lot of what I do in terms of 3D is mostly, I need to put all this stuff, push the fill, outline, is actually just like 2D compositing more so than anything. And so, oh, this is called pawn, whatever, I'll call it king. What was I saying? So I've done stuff with like using 3D environments to create a certain effect, right? Parallax and that sort of thing. But I've also done like, I'm experimenting right now with something similar to this in Blender where I am extracting the line work. And oh my word, the possibilities that opens up is just awesome. I need to fill there. Okay, so there's that. Now we can put the hand in, and that panel will be done for the most part. Most of the all-time greats cheated on some level. Well, it's just about like being smart with your resources is more what it's really about. It's not so much about, you know, trying to pull a fast one on anyone. I'll tell everyone how I do this stuff. It's just I don't want to sit there and, you know, I don't consider myself like above these types of techniques, you know. I'm just trying to make a book at the end of the day. And I don't think that this compromises my vision in any way, as opposed to other methods that could be used, more fully encompassing methods, I should say. Things that essentially replace the artist, as it were. Because there is stuff like that, you know, tracing is a good example of that. Where you are not after a certain vision, you're just looking for a result for whatever means. Rotoscoping, yeah, rotoscoping is a legit method, again, so long as you are like upfront about it. Well, if you trace an image that you took, I would say that it depends on the effect that you're going for. A good example would be like, what's his, I just watched a video by him, the latest video put out, Joel Haver, right? Where his whole style is that like really heavily rotoscoped, you know, over live action footage kind of look, right? Like that's his style. And he's working within that boundary, right? So if you were to take an image that you did and you were to use a style where you are tracing it essentially, if you are using the artistic value of that technique, then yeah, it's valid. But if you're trying to essentially circumnavigate another technique while also kind of trying to be pretentious in your portrayal, like you're going after a more naturally drawn look, right? But you're doing it in an illegitimate, by an illegitimate mean, it's going to, the artwork is going to suffer for it, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be compromise because you are. I need a ruler. Essentially, oops, that's not what I wanted. Saying, well, I'll just pretend, right? I'll just pretend that I drew this, when in reality you didn't, right? Whereas someone like Joel Haver is like, well, I'm not pretending that I drew this per se. I'm just using this look and using this style to its whatever effect it is, right? Paint over them. Yeah. Rotoscope. No, there, Evelyn. That's not what rotoscoping is. I always encourage people, like, you know, don't, like, if your goal is to just take a shortcut, like, just take a shortcut, then, like, you know, like, you should, I always encourage people, like, that they're more capable than they think they are, more than likely. So, like, don't be afraid of learning how to draw, essentially. Don't do it because you're afraid of how to draw. Like, I could theoretically draw these pawns and this king and stuff like that, right? I have the technique, I have the ability. However, I am compromising on that one instance to essentially get a better yield, right? To kind of cut down on time. So it's all about your intention and your sincerity, I think. If you're sincere about it and you're open about it and everything like that, then, you know, that's one thing, right? I remember Richard Williams had an interesting instance where it's in his book, Animator Survival Kit. Is that? This doesn't look right. It's because of this. Where basically he used heavy rotoscoping on a film for like a Christmas Carol film that he worked on, and it got like some prestigious, you know, animation award or something like that, and it's rotoscoped. Well, that didn't quite sit well with certain animators, like kind of old school animators, who kind of confronted him and were like, yo, you're making a mockery of our art form by doing this. And I can't remember exactly how he put it, but essentially he walked away from that experience thinking, well, no, I didn't, because at the end of the day, my goal wasn't to replace animation. My goal was to make this film, right? You know, I still animate when I want something that's animated, but I'll rotoscope when I want something rotoscoped. So people are like, cool. Some people are like mob with fire and pitchforks. I would say, like, yeah, it just depends on who's, like, how much of a purist someone is. It reminds me of you get a lot of that in, like, the music world. You're probably, I don't know how familiar you are with this. You might be, I don't know. But I remember I watched a video about Adam Neely. The guy's name is Adam Neely. He's this bassist, and very like theory driven, like, you know, technical, right, mindset and stuff like that. And he had a video on what he called the cult of the written script. And basically what it was there's a group of people in music that are obsessed, more or less obsessed with everything that has worth must be written as a score, must be written on sheet paper, in notation, you know, all that kind of jazz. And he kind of goes into the limitation of that in the, this doesn't, I don't like, how does that look? Yeah, that'll work, I guess. But yeah, what a bunch of nerds. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so it was an interesting video kind of going into that. I don't know how I feel about this, but we'll keep going because I've been working on this page for way too long as is. So, but yeah, so I thought that was really interesting, and a very similar thing can happen with art. And so the question becomes, like, okay, well then how do you measure like something? Especially this question's really been coming up with this whole AI thing, and I think a portion of it at least is I need to resize that. Is what is it ultimately worth in terms of its artistic value, right? Because and that doesn't even really have a whole lot to do with AI. That's just it's somewhat subjective, but at the same time, in a like universal sense, in a cultural sense or social sense, like more than like once you get enough people kind of looking at this, you can get a more kind of objective worth, because now it's like, okay, this is what you're measuring it against is everyone's perspective, and if everyone's like, okay, it's crap, it doesn't mean anything, then it doesn't have anything, right? It can have things in terms of a individual, like someone can come along and go, oh, I really like that as an individual. But now it's it at least you can say objectively it has a limited scope, right? So there are ways of kind of measuring, right, in terms of objective worth and stuff like that, albeit still limited. But so when you kind of hold that lens up to something like the AI art and stuff like that, like, yeah, you do something with AI, it's like, oh wow, a computer drew that, right? But then you keep looking and you keep looking and you keep looking. Eventually, it so often gets boring. And the same thing happens with all these movies coming out. They keep doing the same thing over and over again, and they're kind of designed by committee kind of things. Where is it's, and so the result is someone who even uses a quote unquote forbidden technique, as it were, like tracing or I was gonna say rotoscoping, but that rotoscoping tends to get more of a pass, I would say, than tracing, tracing your own photo, because if you're tracing someone else's artwork, that is inherently, unless you're doing it specifically for practice or something like that, that is inherently you trying to supersede their design or use it as your own. Essentially like copying frames from animation and calling it your own choreography, right? They're not your lines. But if you're putting it over a photo you took or something like that to create an effect, right, then that, you could argue, has a more inherent value if it has more of an artistic identity that actually resonates with people. If it even not on a grander scale, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, maybe your thing doesn't sell as many tickets in the booth, but we're talking artistically, which one's going to be remembered for the more important thing, quote unquote, or leave a bigger impact, even if it's on an individual state. Is a movie that Disney put out or whoever put out that someone goes to see, gets bored, falls asleep in the theater, but a lot of people did that, is that inherently more value because it sold more tickets than something that a single individual sees and they go, I am going to do something great with my life because of it, right? That has that sort of effect. Could you I'll leave it up to you where that goes, but that's kind of, what am I talking about? I don't even remember. Yo, guilty. Like how the flat painting over photo looks. Well, yeah, exactly there, Emily. Like, if it has its own unique look, then there's something of value there, and it shouldn't be ignored. It shouldn't be downplayed just because. Yo, Jack, good to see you. Just because it's typically associated with people who just want to take a shortcut, right? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is, you know, sometimes you'll have something that is done just because someone wants to take a shortcut, and usually that's like, oh, I'm just going to trace this and say I painted it, right? But if you're like, no, I took a photo and I painted over it because I like the look of it, or because I feel like I can use the look of it, then that's no different than like a filter or something like that. That's no different than, you know, just another tool. So yeah, again, it comes down to sincerity. Like that's the real key behind a lot of things, I think, is are you sincere in your pursuit? And if you are, then it's gonna have some kind of meaning. I think that's the one of the biggest things we really miss a lot of times, at least what I miss from, you know, perhaps older films or whatever, you know, even older animation to a degree. Is just, especially older dialogue, let me tell you, is sincerity. The sincerity of the scene, the sincerity of a thing. It's like, you don't have to put a joke in everything. Not everything has to be a joke, you know. I think that's really important. Any level of auto-tuning and sampling? Yeah. Again, like if it's an effect, right? If it's an effect you're using not as a crutch to stop growing, because that's the key, right? Is if you're using it as a crutch to stop growing, then what can anyone expect from you? It's like you're not actually using it as a means to some like greater end. You're just using it as a crutch. But yeah, it's still perfectly valid as an effect. Like if you want to give that sort of, you know, robotic resonance, that sort of interesting feel, right? Yeah. Personally, I don't care for autotune, but like, you know, that it's so often the first thought is, oh, it's being used in that way to compromise, right? And not in a very clever way. It's like, oh, you can't sing the note, we'll have the computer do it for you, right? And call it good, right? That whole discussion is a can of worms. Yeah. Personally, like, as far as sampling goes, I really do like sampling. But I'm gonna be honest, here's my hot take for the day. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that Daft Punk did it in a very creative way. For the most part. Like, they have some neat songs here and there, but in reality, I would much rather go and listen to the original songs that they basically took from. Just because you can. Yeah, like if it's an effect, right? It's no different than putting like delay over your voice or something like that, right? It's like, I don't even really care if you know, like, if you want to listen to Daft Punk, like, I mean, I listen to Daft Punk sometimes. But I just feel like so often I'm kind of like, especially like after I've gone back and listened to those songs and stuff like that, it's like, man, this is a really cool song. Like, I can never, it's Earthworks is the band, I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember the name of the song. But it's the one that's used for Robot Rock. That's an awesome riff, and it's in a really cool song. So go listen to the original. I don't think I can play it, unfortunately, because it's from like the 70s. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's like, people are so quick to like kind of flip the carriage before the horse, as it were, where it's like, oh, because he uses autotune, he's a bad singer. Not he uses autotune because he's a bad singer, right? And And it's like, well, no, that's never been the metric. The metric has never been you use autotune and that is what makes you a bad singer. It's always been the other way. You've reversed it, right? And it's like, you know, you can have a very good singer objectively who uses autotune. Like, they can just slap it on there, and that doesn't change the fact that they're a good singer. Now, they may use autotune to a bad effect, like if they're a good, even if they're a good singer, right? Like, it takes away from it or whatever, you know, potentially. I'm just saying potentially. But it doesn't, you know, that's goofy to think that it has this inherent, like debuff or something like that. It's like, no, that's not how that works, you know. You know, he didn't nerf his voice just because he used autotune once. Yeah, exactly, Evelyn, as well. Like, and then that's kind of what I, you know, do as well with like my like I said, like I could draw this pawn. I'm not gonna sit there for 5 hours trying to figure out how to draw a perfectly like geometric pawn, right? Like I have better things to do. This gets the effect. That's good enough, right? The reason I do other line work though is because it like I don't want to have to build this all in 3D. It's limited in that way. If someone wanted to do a entire comic with 3D models and extract the line work, that's pretty cool. Like that's actually that would be really cool. That's not me. I like to draw. That's what I like to do. But don't you dare hit Control Z. Yeah. But yeah, I remember one of my favorite artists, Thomas Dolby. That's another one I recommend, by the way. Very creative artist. Music. He had a song, Oceania. Really cool song. Again, I wish I could play it, but of course it's older music and can't do that. We're totally advertising for free, but you know, record label's gonna record label. But he talked about how in parts of the song, you know, people had asked if he used autotune. He's like, no, but I did correct the pitch. It's like, could I have done it, you know, in another take or 17 or 70? You know, yeah, probably, but you know, I got better things to do, right? And so he did like correct the voice, but it gives it a really cool characteristic. It is this almost digitized, just unreal effect, but it fits the mood. It fits the sort of surreal vibe of the song. Very cool stuff. So it works, you know. Headphones acquired. Very good there, Brittany. A balance in the line and such. Yeah, and again, I think that, but what always kind of holds it together is sincerity. Are you sincerely just trying to make something, or are you like chasing after fame? Are you being fake, essentially? And when you're being fake, it's like that just no one wants that, you know. no one wants that. It's just, that's disappointing and takes away from the experience. Ultimately, usually for not a great end, right? And if it's one of those things where, like, if you're insincere about it, then people won't know what to expect from you, right? They won't be able to trust you. I mean, like autotune, when I think autotune, I think of like the VST. You sing into the VST, it does everything for you, set to a scale. That's what I think of when I think autotune. Pitch correct is when you go back in and by hand correct it. That's how I've always. Oh yeah, 1 second. I'll write down Thomas Dolby, like the codec, like the audio codec or whatever. But Thomas Dolby. I highly recommend. Actually, you probably have heard of Thomas Dolby. She Blinded Me with Science. If you've heard that song, that's one of his really big ones. But I highly recommend the album Golden Age of Wireless and Aliens Ate My Buick. Those are two really good ones. By hand is a pain, yeah. Speaking of music, though, I actually did a over the weekend while I was hanging out with family. I would every now and again I brought my Game Boy with me with the LSDJ, and so I started working on a little tune that I liked how it came out. I actually shared it in the Gilded, Emily. I don't know if you saw that. I need to share it around a little bit more because it was really fun to do, and I'm looking forward to keeping that going. Yeah, no, it was super fun to work on. I want to do just more little songs like that in LSDJ because LSDJ is awesome. For people who don't know what it is, it's basically a music program that a guy no, it wasn't Trash 80 who made it. Trash 80 made the Arduino boy, but I can't remember his name. But he basically created this ROM that takes advantage of the sound chip in the Game Boy unit to allow you and gives you like full control of, and I mean full control over it, to create all kinds of crazy sounds and stuff like that to make music. And it's a 4-track tracker, 4-channel tracker, and so like you can make like full-blown music. I'm pretty sure like stuff that we're listening to right now, which is a chiptune kind of live broadcast thing, has all kinds of songs that use LSDJ. Oh yeah, no, he like that was his whole thing was crazy synth hookups and stuff like that, and getting really creative. I think he pulled his first synth out of a dumpster or something like that. It was a nice one. It was like a Roland Jupiter or something like that back in the 80s or something like that. I can't remember, but like yeah. So he's always like looking for like just like stuff to create music with, you know, get kind of creative with it. I think Oceania is on the album. Is it Heretics and Astronaut, or Astronauts and Heretics or something like that? I can't remember. Maybe it's another one. Seeing Tony Lace. I put it in art. In art, share your art or whatever it is, because I figured it's not like actual music, you know. Let's see here. Listen to Strange Magic Violet. Yeah, ELO. I haven't listened to a whole lot of ELO myself. If you like ELO, though, I do have a recommendation. This is one that not a lot of people have listened to, and I would totally put it on if I felt like I could, because I absolutely love, particularly this album, but Klaatu. I think CLA, it's either CLAATU or CLATTU, or CLATUU. It actually might be the last one now that I think about it. But the album Hope, it's a really good album, because it's actually a concept album. So it tells a really good story. Fun little ditty. Yeah. It was just a super fun little ditty to work on over the weekend, and kind of get back into the program a bit. Yeah, I'll probably keep working on it here and there. Eventually, I do want to like do like proper music streams and stuff like that once I get kind of a little bit more set up. I actually want to make it so that like it's interactive, where like we'll get to like build a synth together, because I have a program called VCV Rack, which is a like emulator for modular synth, which is friggin' awesome. like it's super cool. And so what I want to do is I want to make it so that like people, like we work together to like build an instrument essentially from scratch. Like, oh, what sound wave should we use? What effects should we use? What what audio path should we use, or how should it what should the attack, decay, sustain, release envelope look like, stuff like that. And work together with people to like make an instrument, and then kind of program a little song and like kind of improvise something with it. I think that'd be super fun. So it's just kind of hard when like, you know, what's kind of really kept me from doing that idea is like I couldn't count on there being people. Yeah, that's it. What's this Flat Earth business? Yeah, that's one of his albums, The Flat Earth. That's a really good album as well, actually. That one has... Oh yeah, that one has Screen Kiss. Screen Kiss is really good. I feel like I used to know why he called it the Flat Earth, but I can't remember why now. Don't worry, I'm like 90% certain that he isn't a flat earther. Let's see. Is that... Yes. Yes, that is correct. Okay, good. I need to actually... I'll do that later. For now, let's move on and do this. Gosh, I wish I could listen to Thomas Dolby right now. Not that big. Hot Dog Earth for the win, yeah. I have listened to some Evillay. He sent me that chiptune metal album, which I might put on at some point, because that's good stuff, and I figure you won't DMCA strike me if I play some of your music. Let's see. Ooh, that was scary. So unfortunately, you do kind of see some of the, I guess, aliasing on the rounder objects. But that's okay. So long as it's not distracting. Okay, so I need to... Verado Nick 2, I assume. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they pulled it from. And yeah, let's see. Some of their later stuff, they had like 2 or 3 really good albums. They had 347, is it 347 AM? Something like that. They had Klaatu, which was I think their first album, and then they had Hope, which those are like the 3 really good ones. Heck yeah, Evelyn. You're one of the real ones. Right. A number of bands have gone on record like being like, yeah, we're an independent label and screw it, you can stream our music whenever the frick you want to. We appreciate that. Because, you know, advertising. It reminds me of a channel I check out every now and again called 666 Mr. Doom. And they just upload full albums of music and stuff like that. And there have been bands, like the actual band will reply and say, like to their own music being uploaded, being like, yo, thanks for uploading this. Like, so glad that you really like it, you know, and that you're sharing it with people and whatnot. We really appreciate it, you know? And it's like, yeah. It's like, I want to buy those guys' albums. They're actually grateful for people listening to their music. That's nice. Which I think, to be fair, most bands are really appreciative of people listening to their music. It's the record labels that tend to be a little more obsessed with controlling the numbers and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Yep. It still has a pretty high chance of being copyright struck. Yeah. Yeah, that's the really annoying part. But I think I don't think I've ever gotten hit for Slift. I think Slift is genuinely on their own like label. And I think that the other ones who did it are the Midnight, and I don't think I've ever gotten hit for the Midnight either. So they're like legit when it comes to when they say like yeah, like you can like actually stream our music. Pretty sure anyway. I could be wrong. Maybe things changed or whatever. Unfortunately, I don't. What in the world am I? This ain't right, actually. Hold on. This is a terrible finger. I just want to go on record saying that, and I'm gonna fix it. Hopefully, actually, I need to like actually like use dimensions here. 1 second. Hold on, chat. We're going to the 3rd dimension. Dude, that reminds me. Actually, I'm super excited because for those of you who are old enough to remember, which I think is most everyone in this chat actually, but whatever. Friggin' Strong Bad and Homestar Runner and all that, they're coming out. I cannot draw a circle. Good grief. They're coming out with a Dangerous game. Now, what is Dangerous, you may ask? It's a very good question. I don't know how to explain it without going into the sheer lore and depth of HomestarRunner.com. But all you need to know is there was a game on a website called HomestarRunner.com called Dangerous that was like an old school like point and click adventure game, kind of Sam and Max-esque. And I remember playing it years back, and it was just like a one room kind of like joke kind of game, right? Where it's like this point and click, you got to figure out what to do, right? And it was just the one room. But they're making a whole game of it, and I'm really tempted to actually stream it. I'm like actually really excited about it. I may just straight up stream it because it looks like it's gonna be really fun. When a point and click game in the same vein as like 90s point and click games, based on a internet cartoon from the like 2000s, is the most exciting game you have on your like radar. What in the world is the industry doing? Homestar Runner is still a thing, actually, like legitimately. It's not what it used to be in terms of like the really consistent cartoons and everything like that. But like Strong Bad has a Twitter and like posts really funny things and like has like a show where he like draws stuff and whatnot. And so like the whole world is still like going, like they're still making videos with Homestar Runner, and it's great. It's like actually still thriving, and it makes me really happy. Because Homestar Runner doesn't deserve to die. Homestar Runner deserves to live on in the hearts and mind of everyone. Everyone who is a bored kid growing up in the 2000s and just wanted good cartoons, man. It's not like it's still really underground, kind of, right? And it's been a while since I've like looked into it, but yeah, look up Strong Bad Skills of an Artist. It's great. It's hilarious. Friggin' hands, man. I swear, next chapter, no close-up hands. I don't care if it's gonna be a 40-page chapter, which it probably will be. I'm not doing close-up hands again. I don't think I'll have to. I think there's like a couple shots with hands, but like not like close-up hands. No, wait, crap, no, I do. Frick. Kind of. It'll be different. Doggone it. This is what happens when you plan things ahead. Don't plan anything. Just go into it with no plan. It'll make your life easier. That way, when something comes along that you don't want to deal with, you can just go, well, I'm not going to do that. No one will be none the wiser. It's a great plan. Trust me. Yeah, it's about right. Except for the fingers a little long, I guess, but she has long fingertips. I'm okay with that, Truth be told, we were talking about compromise and all that jazz. Yeah, I wish I could draw hands better. But I work within my limitations and I make it work. I pursue it with sincerity. Kind of. Sometimes I just get really irritated and just say, that's good enough. I guess that's kind of sincere, though. Oh, who's this? Vesicus. Now we got to do the thumb. And we need to do the, you know, you'd like 100% drawing each finger really is like drawing its own character, like it's its own body. You got to get the anatomy right and everything. That's exactly what it's like. Hold on. So, oh, okay, hold on. That's here. More like this, that, or that. Apparently Polyphia played Champagne when you saw them? Is that one of their songs, or? I don't listen to a lot of Polyphia, so I don't really know their stuff. Listen to them every now and again. That's a giant thumb. She doesn't have that big of a thumb. Hold on, I need to... Favor those. Okay, yeah. Let me just get the shape right here. That's a little bit better, although it's still kind of big. Let me draw the thumb in more. This in more. Draw the thumb tip. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely do kind of... I got to talking with a friend of mine about it, and what I've kind of determined, essentially, in terms of, like... The way I kind of look at especially modern prog rock or prog metal is it's very neoclassicalist or neoclassical in that if you go back and listen to actual classical music, like the actual era that it was, not the romantic era like Tchaikovsky, Holst, others, Wagner, and you listen to like Mozart, Beethoven, who's later. Beethoven's a little bit better, but particularly Mozart. And you study like what's going on. It's very like, it's very Dvorak, yeah. It's very it's technically like very prolific, right? But it's also very like overdone, I guess is the best term I can come up with. Like it has no like balance, dynamic to it. It's all on all the time. Every measure, every note is just packed to the brim with everything that they had developed up to that point. Very dense. And even at the time, that was kind of the like criticism of it, especially Mozart. It was too many notes, right? That's what they would say. Yes, he was he was a child prodigy. I guess there was a number of, I think Bach was also a child prodigy, but yeah, Mozart was a very like, for the time you could almost describe him as punk. You know, he's very countercultural, very crass, note spam fancy boy, yeah, essentially. And so, but it also like, it wasn't just him, it was kind of the style of the time in general. And so, like, truth be told, I don't actually really care for listening to classical music, like actual like classical music. It's just not my favorite. I'm much more a fan of like Tchaikovsky or Holst, particularly Holst. Holst, in my opinion, was like, you don't get much better than that in terms of like orchestral works. But going back to the point, I listen to like, I've listened to like Rings of Saturn or even Animals as Leaders. And every time it's just like, there's just too much. It's like, there's just too much. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Romantic Conspiracy, exactly. Because that's the Romantic era. But, and so and it's really a bummer when you hear like a really good song by like Animals as Leaders, because they're such good musicians. They're so good at what they do. Like Brain Dance is an actual really good, good representation of a more classically progressive rock song. You know, progressive rock song or metal song. Brain Dance is awesome. So I really like that song because it has this really cool flow. Almost reminds me of like Liquid Tension Experiment, you know, which was in the 90s. Oh, really? Your buddy went to school with Tosin? That's funny. Wow. Small world, I guess. Yeah, so like, I want more stuff like that. It's like, oh man, if that was Animals as Leaders, or if they at least did more stuff, and there's probably more songs like that. If you guys know more songs like that they've done, let me know. I'll listen to them and probably enjoy them. This isn't right. Your thumb isn't that. I'm having to really stretch your thumb is the problem. But I've not really heard too many, you know. And it's kind of a bummer. I'm much more into the classic prog rock movement, you know, Yes and King Crimson and stuff like that. But mostly, like, not even stuff from like the 70s though. Mostly stuff from the 80s, UK or like at least the later 70s as well. Klaatu is later 70s actually. Audition for Bravery got cut. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I guess, you know, it's like, yeah, it happens. There's bands and people that go off and do pretty crazy things. And, are these fingers right? I don't know if these fingers are right. I wonder if I should. 1 second. feel like I just beat an NES game. This is great. With music like this. DC Suburbs, yeah. This is in Freebie. I've never seen that. That ain't fingers. That's not how fingers work. This is closer. Truth be told, I'm doing this so utterly wrong. One second, I'll show you. This is not how fingers work. I always forget how fingers fold for some reason. Fingers only fold like 90 degrees. They don't fold 180 degrees. And they actually tend to like kind of match when you're reaching out like this. She has weird hands, but they're not that weird. They're not freaky weird. She's not the bishop, so. There we go. And then I can fold the finger back and do that. And we can put some folds in the skin. And I have to do one more hand after this, and it's already been an hour. It's already been an hour, Chad. Yo, Readout. Good to see you. I don't know, Readout. You tell me. How much can you derail the stream? I will warn you, I've gotten pretty good at working while distracted. I definitely do think that it compromises my work to some degree, but I'm okay with that. I don't care. I have to compromise somewhere, and I like having company, so. Not to pick a Volcano. I've only seen Volcano, and only like the end for the most part. Yeah, pretty much I've laid about 35%. You like the train? I like the train too. It's my moon train. Goes all the way, circumnavigates the moon. Trains do. I like trains. You mean Lava the movie? Yeah, basically. Man, it was so long ago that I saw it too. Like, I didn't really watch it. That was so long ago. How does that? So folds. So what we're seeing, so it kind of folds in like so. It's just this big meaty lump, just here. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I gotta do another like real deep dive into hands again, one of these days, honestly. Truth be told, I should probably. Honestly, the thumb is too far out. Whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter all that much. It'll be fine. I need to just get this in order here. Big meaty claws, yeah. if a moon train goes off the rails, that would kind of suck because it would like fly really far. Called Moon Walrus. Moon Walrus. That sounds pretty cool. Man, that reminds me of a time I was playing Morrowind, the multiplayer mod for the Open Morrowind project with my my brothers, and we figured out that game's awesome because you can like, you know, basically smoke whatever you want. In a matter of speaking, through the power of alchemy. And so we were like, okay, well, let's just find a bunch of random ingredients and make crap. And I made some concoction called walrus juice. And so, gotta get back into that game and make up another batch of walrus juice. It's been a while since I played Morrowind. Oh yeah, Morrowind's great. Yeah, that stuff will knock you flat. Alright, so what we're looking at, okay, so it's, yeah, gonna be the tip of the finger here. And then this as well. This is, I know this artist. Who is this? This isn't Luke Hash. This isn't Chipcell, I don't think. It might be, actually. Let's see. Fear of Dark, of course, yeah. So this is Fear of Dark. Wait. Your brother worked at Bethesda? What was he? Wait a minute. No, it's not going to look like that. It's going to be more like this because this is actually connected up there. In that area. Oblivion was after. He was in QA. Okay. That's funny. Yeah, Oblivion was the game after. It came out in 2006, I think. Morrowind came out in 2001, I want to say. Gosh, I played Oblivion so much. I think that Oblivion is my favorite Elder Scrolls game. I love Morrowind, but I never truly got into Morrowind the same way I got into Oblivion. And Skyrim, like, is fun and all, but, like, leaves a lot to be desired in terms of, like, actual game. Oblivion, man, like, holy crap, like, that was great. Really fun quests. Okay, I'm not gonna do Super jank, of course, but you know, it worked. It actually worked for the most part. With, you know, some exceptions. Yeah, Morrowind, man, you could. Actually, both, Evelyn. It was Sean Bean and Patrick Stewart, so wasn't as good as Morrowind for you. That's fair, because like Morrowind, honestly, like once you get into it, man, like there's so much in Morrowind. Like it's crazy, and like objectively speaking, Oblivion was a bit of a step down in terms of like some of those things, and then Skyrim even further. I enjoyed Skyrim as well, there, Evelyn, but like if you go back and play Oblivion and like really get into it, or especially Morrowind, and actually like take the time, get into it, and like learn the systems and whatnot, it's like oh, there's so much here, you know. So kind of funny. Oh yeah, the Fork of Horripilation. Oh yeah, heck yeah. See, that was the other thing, is like the Shivering Isles was like its own game, man. Like it was so good. Like holy crap. Like I remember I was playing that game for like months or something like that. And I was in the Shivering Isles, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's like a whole other game to play. I was in the Shivering Isles for like months straight at times, because there was so much to do, and it was such a fun world to run around in and do crap that like, okay, that's not how hands work. That like, you didn't need any more, you know. Yeah, the are you talking Blood Moon? Oh yeah, Sheogorath was great in that game. Sheogorath was fantastic. But I liked that, like, you really saw like a peek into the lore with or just the world with the Shivering Isles, where like it's like, yo, crazy crap's going on, you know. Like you thought Sheogorath was this, no, he's a lot more than that, you know. It just totally added so much more to his character with the Grey March and everything, Jigalag, and oh yeah, no, that's fantastic. I'm so excited for Skyblivion. It has a release date of 2025, which means it'll probably come out before the next Elder Scrolls game does. So, oh, the capitals, yeah, Tribunal with is it called Mournhold? I thought it was something else. Ebonheart? Is Ebonheart part of the Tribunal DLC, or is that just a city in Vardenfell? Bad Company 2? Yeah, no, that was, gosh, I missed that. That was so good. I want more stuff like that. Just full destruction like that. Was the capitals? Okay, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I never played. I saw a little bit of Blood Moon. I never really saw a whole lot of Tribunal, except for I did see like towards the end Alma Alexia and Silphicil and stuff like that. So I know like what goes down. All that insanity. If you guys want inspiration for just insane lore bordering on mythology, like that actually really captures the essence of mythology, look into Elder Scrolls lore, because like it does such a good job in just capturing that very like uncertain edge of mythology, that just very rampant, crazy side of mythology. Yeah, the sun is just straight up a hole in the fabric of reality. Or what's that? Do you remember what that realm is called, where you have to move sideways to get into it or whatever? I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, wasn't he Kurt Coleman? That sounds super familiar, Evelyn. But maybe it's just a name I heard in passing at some point or another, or maybe I don't remember at all. Yeah, that whole thing. The prison meteor. And then the designer on Shivering Isles and Oblivion, not sure what else. Yeah, I've probably heard the name in like behind the scenes or something like that. Kind of, Jack. They're the origin of the elves, or the Mer, I'm pretty sure, because Aedra and Daedra are actually terms that refer to like ancestors and not ancestors, respectively. So Aedra is like kin or ancestors or something like that, or related or whatever, and Daedra are not related. Something like that. Really nice dude. Taught one of his daughters guitar for about a year. Nice. That's funny. So you just know people from Bethesda. That's funny. Funny how that happens. I'm Northwest. So I'm up in Oregon. This almost sounds like Rayman. Like Rayman 3. That's another game I want to go back and play again, actually. But I actually don't really have a way of playing it right now, because I don't have a PS2. It's got that vibe. It's got that funky vibe. I like it. I remember back in high school, I listened to the entire OST over a few like weeks of work, but still, the entire OST for Rayman 3, and it's like 8 hours long or something like that. There's so many tracks made for that game. A lot of like repeats and stuff like that, like remixes and whatnot, but still. That's a fun game. That was a really fun one. I really need to get Rayman 2 though on PS2, because that's a really good game. Yeah, I was animating at the time, so you know, plenty of time to listen to stuff. I also listened to a lot of like. That's when I started getting into like keygen and chiptune and stuff like that. So I listened to a lot of like Dunda Patrullen, And actually space synth, funny enough. I started getting into space synth. Do I want to put the queen back there? Not really. Been too busy or too tired. Yeah, that's fair. I haven't really been playing games either myself. I think the last time I played games was been going through this is Chip Cell, I'm pretty sure. Or Fear Dark. Oh, Robot Prince. Never mind. I don't know anything. This is Robot Prince with featuring Runecraft. Runecraft is awesome. Runecraft is also a really good artist. I was playing through a new ROM hack of Ocarina of Time that's really good called The Sealed Palace. Still working on No More Heroes, Witcher, and Persona 4. Yeah, sounds like you got a bit of a backlog there. That's a sounds like a lot of long games as well. You know, Persona 4 alone is like what 60 hours I've heard or something like that. No More Heroes. I don't know how long that was, but Witcher as well. All of those games are really long. So sounds like you got your work cut out for you. It's 130. Yeah, that's a long one. I never got into the Persona games. It just doesn't seem like my thing. Personally. Whoops. Where's the button? There we go. Let's do that. Animation is about 35. Witcher is another 120 with DLC. Yeah. Wow. That's like months worth of games right there alone. It's not years. Honestly, for me, it'd be years. Never owned Zelda or Mario for it, really. Yeah, I recommend Ocarina. It's jank, but it's still a really good game. Just solid, super solid. Very fun experience if you're into, you know, kind of Zelda games and other games like that. Final Fantasy 16 in June. Oh yeah, that's another one that's gonna stack another 100 hours. That reminds me, I've got to finish Chrono Trigger one of these days. I actually got my DS working with a totally legitimate copy of Chrono Trigger attached to it, and I have a save that's really far into the game that I never beat when I was younger. Last time I played it, I was like 16 or something. Gosh, I gotta beat that game. That's such a good game. That's like legit one of my favorite games of all time, just straight up. Big surprise, I know. But if you haven't played that one, that you want to talk about a good soundtrack. Like that is probably my favorite soundtrack of all time. Like actually, there are few games that have a more just thoroughly just amazing soundtrack, especially on Super Nintendo. I used to listen to the soundtrack while playing other games all the time. And I would just like put the soundtrack on repeat while I was playing Mass Effect. That was good times, actually. That was really fun. Load it up on the Xbox music player or whatever. Just have it running while I was playing the game. Gosh, that was fun. This is the part where I go silent because I want to really get this hand done because I'm close to having this page done. And when this page is done, I'm done. Probably. I don't know. I'll probably go on to another page and do like a panel, maybe. Because the next panel is going to be really short, and I'll show you why. Yeah, Final Fantasy Chronicles, and I need to pick that up before it becomes $1 million. Dang it! I got to figure out a way to. Oh, you got the best stuff, yeah. Yeah, that has Final Fantasy. Is it Final Fantasy 4 or is it Final Fantasy 6? Because, one second. Final Fantasy Chronicles came with. Okay, it was 4 and Chrono Trigger, which is a little bit of a bummer because if it was 6 and Chrono Trigger, that would be amazing because I need to play both of those games. Still, I've heard 4 is really good, so it's probably worth it, honestly. Still, why am I kind of having a hard time with? I've been having a hard time as of late with hands. That looks horrible. Okay. Okay, that's better, but her thumb is not that big. Her thumb is actually kind of small, because her hands are kind of small. Okay, that's better. Shape. Okay. Yeah, that's right. 6 was on with 5. I was wildly addicted to Tactics. I never played Tactics. I never got into the, I guess the tactical RPG genre, like Fire Emblem and all that. Or Ogre Battles or whatever. This is a happy song. I like this song. See? Everyone should just listen to more chiptune. It'll make you happy. Oh, really? So they had a like a scale adjustment kind of thing, and so if you that sucks. There's something kind of like that in Oblivion, only it was like kind of an unintentional flaw in the leveling system in general, where basically like so enemies level with you, right? Like that was a system, and so as you theoretically get more powerful, the enemies theoretically get more powerful, but basically if you didn't plan out your leveling meticulously, you could be underpowered super easily in like 20 levels, because the way it worked is in leveling things up, that would give you a token for the standard stats like strength and endurance and agility and all that. And so the max you could get was +5, right? When you level up, you get to choose 3 and you can up them by up to 5. The thing is, if you didn't level certain skills up first, you could be screwed in terms of like being like +1 or not plus any of the ones you would need, right? And so in 20 levels, it's like you've gotten +0 when it's expecting you to get +5 every time. Pretty soon, you're at a strength of like 30, and the enemies are expecting you to be at a strength of like 60. So that was I remember that happened to me in one of my characters, and it sucked. It's like I couldn't fight anything. That's why everyone played the game on the easiest difficulty, because the difficulty scaling was just friggin' broken. do something like this. Got it, Jack. All right, catch you later, Evelyn. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Really do appreciate it. Thanks for checking out the tunes as well. Catch you later. Have a good one. Make the good music. Get the good sleeps. All that jazz. All that good jazz. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of jazz. That's okay. Just not my thing. Actually, what time is it? 7:30. Okay, so we got about 30 more minutes for stream, and we made all right progress. We did 2 panels. Gosh dang, we only did 2 panels. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. This page has been a bane of my existence. I have just been really struggling with it. This finger is crap. Doggone it, now I want to play Chrono Trigger. Have I ever considered going on Drawn and Quartered? I'm not opposed if I am invited. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to go about doing that. So I don't much make it a habit of inviting myself onto things. I think that that's a little bit awkward. But I don't know if you can. If there's a proper avenue, I might consider it. If you win the fan edition, you get an invite. Oh, is that right? How does that work? Um, this is looking really jank. Hold on, I gotta. Why do I always make these things harder on myself? Why don't I just curl the fingers and call it a day? Why don't I just curl the fingers and call it a day? I'm curling the fingers and calling it a day. Why am I making this so much harder on myself? Come on. I need to stop getting all fancy with the hands so much. I like doing it. I like getting fancy, but like sometimes I just don't have time. Let's see. You're just gonna call that good here. Truth be told, this hand's gonna be covered mostly anyway, so you don't have to be super exact with it. But I don't want it to look bad either. So. Speaking of looking bad, this thumb's way too long. Okay, the pawn's sitting there. I like that. And then, guess what? Let's do the last panel. Oh no, another panel. Done. Okay, hold on. Actually, no, not quite. I need to do it better than that. Hold on. Fill that in. Okay. There we go. So, and then let me turn off. Okay, that works. That works. That page is done, except for that. One second. Okay, there we go. Ice cream. What about ice cream? Let us see here. Let's see. You have ice cream? Oh, nice. I could go for some ice cream. Maybe I'll pick up some ice cream at some point. All right. So I still haven't redesigned this page, so we're not doing this page. I could start on this, or I could call it an early night and just like relax. It's getting a little bit hectic at work. Not like it is and it isn't, because like it's more of like a hurry up and wait thing, because like we're wrapping up the school year and everything like that. So we've got to plan finals for everything. And then on top of that, I've got a friend coming up here here in about 20 minutes, it seems. Let me think what I can do, if there's anything to wrap down. I guess I can try to thumbnail out page 15, actually. That's something I can do. So I tell you what. We can try to do a little bit of a better job thumbnailing this page. So I tried to go for the symmetrical kind of vibe. But the problem is it wasn't very interesting. Keep forgetting I'm a teacher. Yeah, that's my main job, and I'm really grateful for it. So let's think what we're trying to portray here. So we're trying to portray a passage of time. So this comes after an amount of time. How can I show that? I can show that by so the light is in the like afternoon or like noon, right? Is when it starts. So if I put the light in the afternoon, I can kind of do something like that. Actually, I have an idea for what I can do here. So let's go with direct draw, and we are going to try to think about kind of like walking down. The reason I did it symmetrical was sort of the thematic part was I was trying to make it look kind of like this face-off, but it ended up really boring. So yeah, I'm down to like actually play. That didn't really work, so now I'm like playing around with ideas. I do like the idea of what is this? So you could have it dropping down in tiers from one side to the other, kind of like walking downstairs. I like that idea. Does it thematically fit? So what I'm thinking for this upper area is we have the chessboard at an interesting angle that shows that the game has progressed. So you have him, him here, her here, and we'll have like trees and stuff like that going in the background. And the lighting will reflect a change in time, right? And center, down, forward, blah 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 blah, cloak, down, trails, big orb thingy, chess pieces, blah blah blah, and things are rearranged, and you have the bushes and everything like that. More interesting angle that showcases kind of where they're at. I'm gonna erase that real quick. Okay, so do something like that maybe. I think this page is gonna be tricky, unfortunately. So now I need to show like a close up on the board so that you can get an image of what she's trying to do and what he's trying to do, all in the same shot. And maybe you'll be able to like figure out like how things are gonna go. something a little bit closer like that. So each panel's faces and moves would be too complex. Could you do a lighting gradient down the page? Regression of time. Show faces and moves. Let's see. So maybe part of the challenge for this scene is that I animated this scene, right? And so that's what keeps coming to my mind. So I have to break out of that. So let's go ahead and run with that idea really quick. So if I were to showcase more of a progression of time, how would I go about that? While still indicating where the match ends up. And the nice thing is I actually was talking with a guy who, it might have been Bruner, actually, funny enough. I think it was Bruner I was talking with, about planning the game and stuff and how it could work and how it could realistically happen. So how would I do that? So let's go ahead and save this for now. I do want to chase that a little bit. So let's go monochrome. And let's think, okay, so if I were to start out kind of the first move, second move, kind of situation, actually. Let's try something. Okay. Let's try doing that kind of step ladder effect thing. But as time goes on, the panels become more distorted. Shadows cast by the pieces, that's a good one. That shows the passage of time. It's going to be a lot in the lighting. So as the panels progress, the lighting is going to change over time. So I can't really showcase that right now, but I'll keep it in mind for the future. And let's do, so we'll do kind of a distorted box here. And then this one, I'm actually going to change the straight line, slightly change. And actually like, and then we're gonna like really kind of break the mold here by doing something like, actually, not that far. And then it's interesting. I like to do the panel layout first so that I know what I'm working on and then kind of fill it in as I go. That's okay, Bruner. That won't really become relevant until I'm doing the line work. Which actually, come to think about, if I get this page planned, I'm going to be doing this page next. Actually, yeah, go ahead and send what you got. That will be useful. So something like, I'm going to this, but like way more like distorted, bizarre, more uncomfortable, and maybe even, can we sneak a panel in here as a sort of reflection of this? With competitive high stake nature, overlaying panels. I do mess with that later as a thematic element. Let's try that with this panel here. I don't know what's going to go on these panels yet, even, but we'll figure that out as we go. Let's do that. it is competitive. It is like high stakes and everything like that, but it isn't out of control yet. But I like the idea of there being this one panel that's like something's wrong, you know, and like leading into this like chaos down here. I like that. So let's think about this. So let's do objection. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've actually been playing that game with some friends. It's actually been really fun. Oh my gosh, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games. It's actually been really fun. But let's go ahead and let's think, and we can rearrange the panel layout as time goes on. But so how do I want to do this? Man, this is a tricky page. I was not expecting this to be the harder page. I was expecting one of the other pages to be more challenging. This one's also kind of boring, but I might. Let's see here. Let's do like something really dramatic for this panel, like really pushed out. You get a sense of the lighting for this part. Kind of looming, you know, he's very looming. It's still really boring is the thing, but I can make it look good. Maybe that's just the simple drawings. I can do like the trees, and I can actually maybe even have it like have the trees like break out of the panel to like give it some like depth and stuff like that. That would look pretty cool, actually. Something like that. Yeah. That's okay, Taxi. We will be wrapping up here soon, but I am going to be doing a little bit more work, so glad you were able to stop by. So let's do that. Let's push in and show the board in a kind of new position. And she moved last time, technically. So we'll show her on the far side here. This is going to be a very technically intensive page, actually. And moving a piece of the thing, so blah, 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 blah. Let's actually move this back. Moving something, I don't know what yet. I'll figure that out later. That, I like that. That kind of brings it over here. I am not in the mindset to be doing layout. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see here. Let's have her move now. And we can kind of show... Hold on, I have an idea. No, more like basically a transition panel. Yeah, that's getting really crazy. Maybe I cut that. Maybe I don't show that. Maybe I show it in the panel layout. What happened to the really cool stuff? I use that for other pages and stuff like that. Right now, this is a thumbnail. So I'm not doing penciling, so I don't have to worry about it. I can be really sloppy about it. So let's have her be like, what pose do I want her to kind of have? I want this almost like vertigo, like almost like surreal, like crazy thing here. Let's try that. And like so. Actually, this would be better for the pond. So if I like have like a really low angle, for like the tables here and like the pond up here. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not in the mind for this. So I might have to call it here and just like really mull this page over and maybe even move on to another page. I might just take all of tomorrow to work on this page. Because like, maybe I'll thumbnail it while I'm teaching tomorrow. I think I should have some time for that. I'm gonna wrap up though. I think I'm tired. I shouldn't be, but I am. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. I'll be back on Thursday. I'll be streaming on Thursday. Things have just been a little bit hectic, I guess. Busy. But yeah, so I will catch you guys later. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. I always really do appreciate when you guys stop by. So yeah, I'll see you later. I'll hopefully be working on this page, penciling it. We'll see. So there's a few more days in this month, so everything I get done in this month is bonus, so that'd be nice to get another page done within the month, but we'll see. So catch you later. Have a good one. All that jazz, all that stuff, all that whatever. See ya.